Okay, welcome everybody to North Plains Library presentation of starting a bullet journal. And what we are going to talk about tonight is what a bullet journal is, how it works, what the system is that underlies bullet journaling, and get you started on setting one up. So I'm going to start by talking about just kind of what it is and how it works and what the different components or core elements are of a bullet journal. And then at the end, I'll go through just a few simple steps about getting started. And we also have some resources, including a book list that Brianna put together that's available to you. And I am going to, hey, Brianna, since you're here, would you mind pasting the link into the chat section to the Biblio list? I have that somewhere, but I'm going to ask you to do that.
Yes,
so I can get started.
Yes.
Okay. So I have been bullet journaling for a number of years now. Gosh, if I dig out my old journal here, do I have it handy? I did have it handy. I think it's been probably 4 years at least. And I started bullet journaling because I attended a program just like this at a Cornelius Public Library where I was working at the time. And one of my colleagues put on a workshop explaining what it is and how to use it. And I really liked it. And it has changed the way that I record and plan and organize. And since we have a focus on sort of New Year's, turning over the new leaf, sort of things happening here at the library, we have a series now this is actually the first program in a series, and I want to let you know about that. If you'll look on the screen here, you can see that we have 6 programs, of which this is the first, and they're all sort of themed around New Year's resolutions, or the sort of things we generally promise ourselves at the beginning of a new year. And we're doing January through March. We have 6 different programs planned here. The next one's going to be on creating a vision board with a local artist. And I think some of you may already be signed up for that. I know that registration's already underway for that one on January 19th. And then after that, we have a couple physical health related ones. One's mindful breathing, and the other one is going to be on Tai Chi and Qigong, introductions to both. And then we're going to have a food related ones in March. The first one's going to be preparing some sort of recipe, maybe a soup or something. We have it's TBA on that one. And then Naeem Woods, Chef Woods, is going to talk about meal plans in that same program. And then on the final one, we're going to talk about intermittent fasting. We're going to have a nutritionist, dietitian from the local area who's also a licensed counselor talking about intermittent fasting. And since we're doing bullet journaling, you may have a bullet journal in front of you. You can look at these dates and jot down the ones that you think you might be interested in, and make a point of getting registered when the registration comes open, and go ahead and get the dates on your planner right now. Okay, so I normally work from a to-do list, and that doesn't work very well for me. I tend to get more than one going at the same time, because items that I didn't complete on one list have to go on to the new list for tomorrow. But what if an item doesn't go on tomorrow? Then I write it for the next day, and I can't throw my list away when everything else on it is done. One of the great things about the bullet journal as an organizational system is that it handles this thing about to-do lists brilliantly. It lets you keep sort of a live, in progress, constantly revised to-do list, calendar, schedule going at all times. And we'll learn as we see what's involved with the system, how this works. So what we're going to do tonight's objective is that we'll set up a bullet journal utilizing a dot grid notebook. Some of you may have those in front of you. If you don't have a dot grid journal in front of you right now, that's perfectly fine. You can take notes. We are recording this. You can listen to it later when you do have the journal in front of you. But this will give you a general outline, general idea of how it's to be used. And we'll talk later, but there are a lot of resources online and in the libraries to help you get started if you need help. But the system basics of a bullet journal are a creative and efficient way to plan and dream and record your schedules, your goals, your events, tasks, creative projects with a format that expands, condenses, and flexes with your needs and interests. So it's a very flexible system. It's not rigid. You can adapt it and expand it and condense it as you need to, and you'll see that soon enough. So what is a bullet or dot journal? It's a bound journal. Here, I'm gonna, for those of you who don't have one, I'm gonna put one. Actually, set that out of the way. No, it's right here. There we go. Let me. So this is the blank pages, and I don't know how well the camera is capturing that, but instead of a grid of lines, it's a grid of dots. And it makes it really easy to draw squares and rectangles and different shapes, to align things and write things in a straight line as if you had a lined notebook. And it's great just for making tables and grids and lists and things like that for organizing and planning. But the thing about it is that rather than going to Office Depot or someplace like that and just buying a planner off the shelf that is organized the way they think you want it and is a lot space for certain kinds of things and not others, and is really oriented toward work and a work day in an office, in a 40-hour work week, a 5-day-a-week job. The bullet journal adapts to your life and your lifestyle and the kind of work or kind of events or plans that you're making. And so you really adapt it to your own needs. So the grid is used for this journaling method that combines a planner, a to-do list, and a journal/diary. So you can not only plan for future events and record and rely on it on a day-to-day basis, but you can also record things for the future, your memories of how a meeting went or a trip that you took. It can all be recorded here in a journal sort of way. So the method for bullet journaling is basically a way of organizing your time and your tasks and tracking your progress. Now, the bullet journal was created by a person named Ryder Carroll, who wrote this book. You're still looking at my blank thing, aren't you? So this book is kind of the book about bullet journaling, but it's not the only one. It's just the beginning. But this person invented the method, and so this is sort of the bullet journal go-to book for people starting it. But as we're going to see, people have really taken the ideas of it and they've run with it. But Carroll devised a system that can be used to, quote, track the past, organize the present, and plan for the future. So unlike a planner with pre-printed pages, bullet journaling involves taking a blank dot grid notebook and creating your own ever-evolving system with which to keep all aspects of your life organized under one roof, if you will. Work, side hustles, health, creative projects, anything you got going. And once you set it up, the process of maintaining your bullet journal is, quote, an adaptable practice meant to be self-curated as you determine what works best for you. Now, I found that the benefits, the real pluses of bullet journaling are that it's customizable, adaptable, and expandable. It's also an outlet for creativity. And there are whole books written about how bullet journaling is in itself a creative outlet. We can talk about that a little bit later, but I think that is one of the pluses of it. It actually becomes, if you will, a work of art for people who express themselves that way. And it's an excellent way to organize and prioritize. And one of the main aspects of the system is to offload things that aren't important and are less urgent, things that are a distraction from what you want to do, what you want to be working on, and what you need to be working on. So I'm going to talk first of all about some of the tools that accompany bullet journaling. Some of you, I think the first 20 people, or at least 20 people who registered tonight, got a blank bullet journal and 3 fine tip pens and a little ruler, like I think that's a 7-inch ruler, and to help you draw your grids and lay out what we call our spreads. Okay. There are a lot of things that you can use in addition to just sort of these basic tools. There's a blank journal. And then there are kits that are sold online that include pencils, pens, highlighters, stickers, washi tape, all kinds of different things that can be added. These are the sort of things that you might see. Labels, symbols, okay. Another one is stencils. I don't know if I have a picture. I don't think I have a picture of a stencil. But stencils are also popular for people to use to draw different shapes in their journal. Stamps, rubber stamps is another one. Basically any tools that you might make for making art on a piece of paper, you can use in your bullet journal if you feel so inclined. Okay. I've mostly used it for a more pragmatic sort of run and gun method of staying organized and keeping my my schedule and notes in one place. I haven't personally utilized it in all the ways that I could, and so one of my plans for this year is to utilize it to a fuller extent than I have been. So the bullet journal method is a start. We're going to start with the 4 basic components of the system. Okay, and the first one is the index, and we're going there first because you're going to set up your index really at the beginning of your journal. So if you open my journal, which I have my journal here in front of me, and I actually am a little reticent to show very many of my pages because it's really got my whole life in here. It's got stuff about medication and personal things in here, and I thought, well, I'm probably not going to put that on the internet, but I am gonna get out my pen and ruler a little bit later, and we'll go over the setup a little bit. But the first thing you're going to do is set up an index, and it's really going to be the index is going to be how many pages you will leave blank for the index. Kind of depends on 2 things: how detailed you'll want to index your journal. But just to give you a general idea, my index starts with my first, or I should say really the second component that we're going to cover in a minute, called the future log. And that's an overview of the months ahead. You can do 3 months, 6 months. We'll get to that, but that's the first thing in. So a lot of it depends on, like, how detailed do I want to be? Do I want in my index to include everything I have, or do I just want it to say, everything for 2022 is on this page, and if I have room to go into the next year, what page that's on. But really, I'm putting in, say, my month by month logs, and so you make it as you go along, because you don't know what page everything's going to fall on. But you're going to have things in here other than just calendar and schedule. You will have a list.
Question in the chat.
Yeah.
That you may have just addressed, but I want to make sure.
Sure.
So first I had a question about the program in general. Are you recording every session?
Or we hadn't decided that about the rest of the series.
Okay.
The reason is that a lot of that it starts with the presenter. So
right.
we need to talk to the presenter first. So I'm afraid that's not something that I could answer right now.
Okay. But go ahead and register, and we can get you that information later. And then the second question, which you may have just answered, is how can I write my index at the beginning without knowing how many pages each section will take?
Right. So by the time we're done here, you'll get an idea. What we're going to do is build the journal in things we call spreads. So, like, for example, a future log would be a 2-page spread. And if you were doing a 6-month future log, again, that's the next thing we're going to talk about, it would just be 2 pages. So on page 8 or whatever, I'm going to have my future log. And then the next thing after my future log is the first month that covers. So if we're starting at the beginning of the year, my future log is going to cover the first 6 months of the year, or I can do a 3-month one. But I'll give myself 2 pages. And then when you see how you set up your monthly, which is the next thing, you'll get a feel. A lot of these are just 2-page spreads. Okay. But then, like I say, there's probably other things you may want to include. So the idea of the index is you make it as you go, right? You don't try to guess ahead of time what page something's going to fall on. When you actually have numbered your pages and created something to index, then it goes into the index. So just to start with, your index is going to be blank. Just give yourself, I don't know, I think I gave myself 2 pages for my index, because I know that it's not as important for me in finding things, but that is probably enough room for what it's going to include. It's going to be more important for me to use the index on things that are not time related. Like, I can thumb through here and I know that my current journal begins with October of 2021. So I know if I go to the beginning, I'm going to have October, November, December right there. I have a pretty good idea time-wise where stuff's going to be. But my one on, writing goals, or my writing log that records my how much I write, I'm not going to know. That's not time related, so I'm not really necessarily going to know where that is. The section that I have for what we're doing here, my job at the library related to programming, that's going to be a big section that may not be all in one place. So I'm going to have one section for what we're in right now, winter 2021, 2022, and I may have another section for the summer. Okay, so the index you build as you go, and we're going to go, let's see here. Just give you a couple of pictures of indexes so you can see how they're laid out. You'll see that people collect all kinds of things in their journals. Okay, inspirational quotes, wish lists, project ideas. A place for me to write down. People are always recommending TV shows and movies to me. I can have one place to write that down if I want, and check them off when I've seen them. And it's nice to check them off, because then you can get back to the person that recommended and let them know what you thought. That's just an example. The journal can capture as much of your life as you want it to. So we start with the index. Oops, I'm going to go back there. Went too far. Okay, so the next piece is the future log, and the future log can be a preview of the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next 12 months. And it's you looking ahead and putting in things that you are pretty sure about falling in that month, or that you have as a goal or a deadline, a general idea. For example, if I'm looking at my future log, and let's see, in June, I'm not sure about the date, but I just found out that June is my 40th high school reunion. I'm going to just write that down, because that's a trip out of town. That's a weekend out of town for me. So I'm just going to jot that down, reunion. Okay. I know that, you know, let's see what's coming up. Oh, we're taking a trip in February. I'm going to just jot that in. Things that I know about. I can also leave room. I actually have I made a preview page for the year where I don't really know where it's going to go in a month, but I just put down things that I want to get done this year. Okay. So this is a big picture overview. You can put as many months, but it's more than, the point is that it's more than 1 month, because you're going to also have a monthly log. Okay. You can have, so this is your future log spread. It's the second basic component of your bullet journal. Okay. And before you start writing things down, understand that we're coming to a point where we're learning the system about how we record things and the symbols we use to identify them and track them. So we're not really ready to start writing things down yet. We're just talking about the components here, the building blocks. All right. So the next one is going to be your monthly log and your task list. So to create your monthly log, you're going to go to the next available spread. In other words, after your future log, and when we say spread, I just basically mean, 2 pages, 2 side-by-side pages is a spread. And you're going to, this is the way that I do it. This is the way a lot of people do it. Everybody's going to do it differently. But let's see, it's a picture of the way that I do it. That's kind of like how I do it. This has, basically in the month, you're going to have a space for every day of the month. And I do mine like this. I list it, but I don't double space it. So I think I can show you how I've done mine. Okay, so this is my future log. It's got some things in there. You can see it's 6 months. It started in October. It goes to March. Right? Yeah. Now this is how I do my monthly spreads. And don't look at my life here. It's got there's a lot of stuff in here that's personal. But basically, I have listed every day of the month on the side. Okay, so a lot of people do it this way. So I've got the date and then the day of the week. I jot in my work schedule. I jot in some appointments, things that I know that I've got going on, people I need to contact or whatever. And then on the other side, I've got, I call it items. Now your items are gonna basically fall into 3 basic categories. And we're gonna get to those in a second. But your tasks, your deadlines, your project, the stuff that you know about for the month or stuff that you need to make a note of, maybe you know that you have it coming up, but you don't necessarily have a day for it. If you had a day for it, you just go ahead and put it in next to the day. But this may be projects that take more than 1 day. They may be big things that you're breaking down into smaller components. They may be personal goals or conversations that you need to have with people, creative ideas, whatever. It's just you can put just about anything there. But that's the basic monthly spread. Okay, this person put 3 little sections here for themselves. It says priorities, events, goals. Okay. Things that are important, things that are going to be scheduled, and things that I want to get done that maybe they're not scheduled yet. Okay. By the way, can you see the pictures pretty well on your screens? Can people see those pretty well? You can give me a thumbs up if you do. You see it okay? It's clear? Okay, good. All right. So some people would do their monthly spread like a traditional calendar and just make it a grid like this. That's fine. Like I say, when we get to the system, you'll see that how you lay it out isn't as critical as how you use it. Okay. The next one is the daily. And for right now, if you're wondering about weekly, just we're going to hold this to last. The monthly and the daily are core components, and weekly is sort of an option if you find that helpful. It kind of depends on how your life is laid out. If you're going to an office every day, maybe you think in week chunks. But for most of us, we kind of go day by day. And so the next major component is the daily log or the dailies. On the next spread, you're going to write the day's date and start listing the tasks you'd like to accomplish, keeping each entry short and sweet. And when I say short and sweet, I mean we are using a part of the system that we're going to cover shortly called rapid logging. And it's a very core, important part of what bullet journaling is about. So we're on our way there. But the thing about your daily schedule is that it's efficient and it's concise. So you keep things brief, and you use some meaningful symbols that immediately identify where it is in your life. All right. So here's the three kind of basic symbols for the three sort of things, basic things that go into your logs. And you can use these on any of your logs, the daily spread, the monthly spread, the future log. But we use dots, like a solid dot, like a bullet point, for tasks. We use dashes for notes, and we use circles, not blackened in, but a small circle for events, and some other kind of symbol that, for example, for important things. Now, that's just the first few symbols. There are people have created all kinds of symbols, but you might use a star or an exclamation point or something like that for high priority important things that you need to get done or attend to. All right, so you number your dailies as you go and you add them to your index. Okay, so I've got a date here. I may break it down by hours. I generally don't. If you look at mine, I've got I generally don't. I seldom use dailies. I tend to use something that looks more like a to-do list for the day when I know this is what I'm doing today. But I don't usually break it down by hours for my daily, and I don't necessarily have one for every day. Maybe I'm just going to get up in the morning, work on a couple of things, and then I'm going to go to work. And my work stuff is going to be project oriented, and it may have to be in a different place in my journal. If that makes sense. All right. Now, some people, in addition to those are the kind of core collections. The elements of the bullet journals are referred to as collections because they're things that you're gathering together, and they all fall under that one category or time frame, and they're called collections. So the index, the future log, the monthly, and the daily. Those are the core collections. Okay. You can add a collection for virtually anything. In addition to these four, virtually anything that you want to schedule, record, or keep track of. Okay. So for some examples, you might want a weekly instead. So we've got this here. You might want to add a weekly. If you want to do it in Spanish, is this the one in Spanish? Yeah, it's got some Spanish on it. You can do that. You can put your meal planning on it. Habit trackers are a big one. That's where you have a list of things that you're working on, and you mark the days that you have success. Okay, so this person, for example, has on the first line no meat, and put a little red X on the days that was accomplished. Next one's no sweets or no chocolate. What's wrong with this person? Something very wrong with this person. No alcohol. Next line, exercise. Bed by 12. Okay, that's good. Up by 8. Vitamins, make bed. So these are all things that this person is wanting to track. Okay. Now, we all may have these in our mind, but this person's made it into a bullet journal collection so that they can actually keep track of how they're doing. Okay. That's a habit tracker. Idea for another collection. This is a track. This is also a tracker, but it's not all habits. There may be other things that they're trying to do or do less of. I see they have Pinterest on here, and I don't know if they're trying to do less or more of Pinterest. I don't know how that works. Instagram, publish a post. So it looks like maybe they're a blogger. Yeah. So again, this is a list. You put in, it looks like they have, I think, about 2 weeks on that, or 10 days, something like that. It's 2 weeks on each. Now, the next thing we need to talk about is rapid logging. Okay. In our the custom collections I just referred to, the main things you need to think about if you're thinking, well, what sort of things do they go in? Their goals, challenges, and tasks. Okay. The next thing we want to talk about is rapid logging. And this is it's a faster and shorter way to journal, for one thing. And it divides information, as I mentioned before, into 3 categories. The first one is tasks, things that you need to do. The second one is events, and that may be scheduled things that like a meeting or appointment or a visit with someone. A social visit, whatever, a party, it could be a party or whatever, your experiences. And it could also be what you write about it after the fact. So I had lunch with Joe on Tuesday, and so that goes in as, lunch with Joe. But then I make a way to succinctly record important things about that meeting. If it's just if Joe's my friend, I just may say Joe got me all caught up on how his kids are doing, something like that. So that is sort of the diary part of it, like after the fact, what I might want to say about it. And notes, information you don't want to forget. Now this is a big one for me. I learned something, I hear something, somebody recommends something, and I need to jot it down. And so we again, as I say, we have the solid bullet for tasks. We have the circle for events, and we use the dash for notes. Okay. Now, here are the basic symbols for tracking. Okay. So if I look at, let's see, is there anything I don't want to say on this? No, I think, well, here. I think I can give some idea here. I can hold mine up. You can see. Okay, so I've got so number of things here. This is where I put my signifiers. Okay, put my signifiers here. An X for completion. Okay, so go back to this. So when I completed, I just put an X through it. So I had it there as a task, right? It was just a solid dot, and then I put an X through it when it was complete. Now, this is where the bullet journal gets pretty smart. Is the migration, the task migration. So remember, I was complaining at the beginning about my my to-do list and how I have to make one, and then I have to make another, and then I can't get rid of one because there's something hanging on, and then I need to transfer it to another list. Now, the migration allows me to just keep it there in my journal. It's there we're in January now. I was showing you October. But the thing that I didn't get done, for whatever reason, I was too busy, or something changed about it, the due date changed, or something got complicated, or for whatever the reason is, I need to bump it to the next month, right? I got to the end of my month and I didn't complete it, but it's still an open task. Then I migrate it, and that's just a forward arrow that shows me just by glancing at my page which ones get moved to the next month. So I just turn to my next spread, February, and I add it in if it still stands. But here's an important thing about bullet journaling: is it is meant to help you set aside or discard, basically throw away things that you have on your list that are not important, not urgent, not vital, not crucial. So if it's cluttered with things that maybe you've been asked to do, but you neither want to do them nor need to do them, and you get to the end of the month and you're looking at your task migration, what am I going to bump to the next month? That's a time for you to look at that and go, you know what? I'm really done with that book. Like, I didn't show you this, but on my October list, I had, I think, 4 books. And at the point, it's like, wow, you know what? I've migrated that book through 2 months, and I think I'm really done with it. I'm not going to read more. I think I'm done. And I drop it. Okay. Streamlining the things that you have in your schedule, in your to-do list, is one of the efficiencies of the bullet journal. Okay. It helps you keep your priorities clear, and it causes you to always be looking at what really needs to be done. And it also causes you to decide what is more urgent than the other things. Okay. So if I was looking at my page with the month on one side and my task on the other, this one is clever because it's just pointing to my other page, right? I have this item here, and when I put this on here, it means I have a date. So I had put under my tasks, have lunch with Joe, but it gets this symbol when it's actually on my calendar for the 15th at 1 o'clock. Okay, so that symbol goes there. And when any of these things change, then you just change the symbol. Okay, and you can put them side by side, or you can just put them over each other. But if I started a book in October that was in my task list, and I schedule it, say, hey, Saturday I've got time to start this book, so I actually put it on my calendar. It gets this symbol. And once I start, it gets this symbol. That tells me it's in progress. And this is actually, it's a backslash or whatever from the keyboard. But what it really is, it's half your X, right? It's half your X. So when I put this here when I started, and I put the other cross when it's done, all right? And if neither one of those, if I put this in and I never finished it, I'm going to migrate it to the next month when I get to the end of the month, right? Is that all making sense? I hope it is. All right. Now, just want to go over, this is kind of an overview of what we've covered most so far. And this is kind of really the basics of bullet journaling. First of all, the index. It's used to locate your content in your bullet journal using topics and page numbers, okay? Your future logs used to store future tasks and events that fall outside the current month, right? It's more than just the month you're in. And that's obviously the future log, right? The monthly log provides an overview of time and tasks for the current month. Also functions as your monthly mental inventory, okay? So what's important, what needs to happen, how important is it? The daily log serves as your catch-all for rapid logging your thoughts throughout each day, and it keeps track of what you actually need to do and are getting done, okay? Rapid logging. This is a very key thing to bullet journaling. There are more symbols than this. These are, like I say, these are just the basic ones. So knowing these identifiers that tell you what kind of thing it is in your list, and this tells you where you're at with it. Have I started it? Do I need to move it? Does it need to actually get scheduled and have a date and a time? Okay. And so these 4 collections form the core of your bullet journal. And this idea of migration is good because it helps you always be evaluating what is taking your time and what you're thinking about. You see, as soon as I take something off, for example, a book or an article that somebody asked me to read and I was doing as a favor, and then the person tells me in passing, something that makes me think, oh, they don't really, that's not important or whatever. Well, then it's not going to be important to me, and it may just go in here, right? Because I'm thinking about it. Ooh, I need to do that. I need to do that. When am I going to do that? And it's one of those things that takes mental energy, and I can actually just move it off my plate by putting it in this little thing right down here, this little receptacle called the trash. It goes off my schedule. It goes out of my brain. I don't need to think about it again. I'm done with that book. All right. Let's see here. Oops. It's at the end of my, okay, I think it is. Let's see here. Have any questions up to this point? Okay, so.
Steve, will you have time at the end for questions after the recording?
After the recording?
Yeah, you have time, just in case people want to. Okay.
I'm hoping that we could take our questions for the recording if people are willing. If people are either willing to put them into the chat.
Okay.
And I'm ready right now if anybody has any questions, because the only thing to really do now is talk about the possibilities for your bullet journal and going ahead and starting to set it up. Okay, so we start with just basically a ruler and some markers or pens in my blank page. So let me see, I'll get this right so you guys can see it. Is this visible so you guys can see what I'm doing?
Can you swap the screen, I think?
Can I do what?
Swap the screen. Right now we're looking at
Is it mirrored? I'm sorry, it's backwards?
No, it's fine, but our main screen, we're looking at the key content. So there we go.
Okay. So the way I can show you a few things out of my journal as far as the way that I actually started it. Okay. This is volume 2. So I've been doing this for a number of years. I'm going to look around. Give me just a second here. Yes. I thought I had volume 1 here. I do. This is volume 1. So this is the first one that I got. And it goes back. So I go back to it. It's pretty sloppy, but I do have it as volume 1, and it started with April 2018. So I've been doing that for a little over 3 years. Ended with September, and then I got to my second one. I don't know how far it's going to go, but this is volume 2. So I look at my bullet journal as something I'm going to keep. So I got both of them. I got kind of this, what is it? It feels like suede. I'm not sure what the material is called, but it's pretty nice, and it holds together pretty well. But I plan on having it something less because I'm actually making a record of things beyond just appointments and phone calls and emails and things like that. So now, have I fully utilized it in that way? Not necessarily, but I can always use it more extensively or to a fuller extent than I have up to this point. So if I haven't, like right now, I have and this is my New Year's resolution, if you will. I've got a notebook like this black one that has I've been put a lot of my work related stuff. And then I've got this one that's got my creative writing stuff in it. And those things don't mix. They're like completely different parts of my life. What I want to do is integrate them into my bullet journal. All right. That means I'm going to go through this thing a lot faster. But anyway, I've got my index, and then I've got my feature log. So that's how you're going to set it up. So let's just imagine for a moment that this is my first spread, the beginning of my journal. I'm just going to go right up here and create my future log. And I'm just going to draw a line here. All right. It's maybe not the best ruler. Those of you who have the stuff that we gave you have a little plastic ruler included, a little 7-inch ruler. Okay, so I'm just going to write this, and I like the 6 months. So basically, I'm going to just divide this into 3. I don't have to be exact. And here's the really important thing. I'm not being very creative with my layout, but you can be, all right? So if we're starting at the beginning of the year, we're here in January, that's what I'm going to have here, okay? This is my first one, 2022. 2022, right? And I'm not neat or tidy or very artistic. When it comes to my bullet journal, I'm very pragmatic, but the bullet journal is great for artists. And I'm going to show you in a second that that is a great creative outlet. Okay, I'm just going up here. All right, and I've got my first 6 months of the year. And so the setup is really basic, right? And I'm going to go to the next page, and the next page is going to be my first monthly spread. And I've already got that in here, so you don't really need to see me draw it. But my looking ahead spread was really for the whole year, kind of a future log, but objective to get trust set up for our kids. We have 2 special needs kids, and we're gonna, my goal for this year is to get that set up because I've been putting that off for a long time. I did do a monthly spread, which I ended up not using very much. I did a regular calendar spread for December, which you can see I had a busy day, and I thought, oh, I should do this for the month, and then I ended up not using it that much for it. Okay, programming notes. So this is a work thing. Bullet journal, vision board. I'm going to have a place for the notes for the rest of the programs. I gave myself a couple of pages, putting down ideas for future programs. And then I come to January. I don't have much on here yet. I'm going to put in my work schedule. I'm going to put in standing appointments. I'm going to put in birthdays. And again, like you can see, I haven't really been using it, so I'm setting up a very good example here yet. But this is my personal one, and I don't really want to show you. But the point is that the setup, the basic setup, it's very simple. But if you look at what other people have done, in this illustration, this is actually from the bullet journal method from the book. Let's see if I can zoom in here. It's going to let me do that. If you look at this, what it does is it puts side by side the two different ways to handle the same amount of information. And so what we have here is on the left, we have the traditional method of having a list of things to do and details that need to be known about them, and then how they're documented or how they're recorded, okay? And if you take a few minutes to look at this and compare them, what you find out is that the method that's used on the right, the rapid logging method, is, first of all, it's a lot more concise. So it's actually 60% shorter. The word count is 60% less than what's on the left, okay? So it's much shorter and to the point. But also, the symbols tell me exactly what kind of thing I have in each line. So if I were looking for the tasks, my eyes go straight to the dots. If I'm not interested in notes, I can just easily pass right over the dashes, okay? And this is, like I say, if you're distracted or overwhelmed by having a lot of stuff or having it disorganized or all in my case, jumbled together in the same places, this is a really good way to sort it out, okay? And it gets me right to things that need to be attended to, or things that can be put off, or things that really need to be scheduled and aren't, because the symbols that I'm using for the rapid logging tell me that right away. So I know first of all what kind of thing it is, notes, events, tasks, and then I also know where I am on it. And it helps me to sift through that and get rid of the things that I need to get rid of, or set them, if you will, to the back burner. I can't normally do that on my to-do list. When I have a to-do list, it's like every item is created equal. Oh yeah, these are all the things I need to attend to today. But actually, we all know that some of them are a lot more important than others. Some of them are more time sensitive than others. And this is a way to actually rank and separate or categorize the different kind of things that you have on your schedule, or that you want to put on your schedule. Does that make sense? So this is kind of the heart. Rapid logging is really at the heart of bullet journaling, and what makes it different than just having a planner. Now, I think I have really covered the most important things about bullet journaling. And does anybody have any questions? Is Brianna gone? Are you still there, Brianna?
Sorry, yes, I'm still here.
Still there. Okay. Yeah. Do we have any questions?
We don't have any questions.
Okay.
Does anyone have any? Oh, here it comes. Are there recommended pens they don't bleed through?
That don't bleed through? Yeah, I think most good pens are not going to be a problem. The paper in these journals, for the most part, is a pretty heavy paper. But the paper in my journals it's better than 20-pound paper. It's thicker than that. It's actually a really strong paper, and I've had like zero problems with bleed through. I have to get on there with a big fat Sharpie to actually get something to bleed through. So I would say any decent gel pen or ballpoint pen is going to be fine for you. Hopefully that's helpful. You can use virtually anything though. You'll see the paper when you get your journal. If you have the opportunity to handle it before you buy it, by going to like a stationery or office supply place and actually handling it, you'll see that the paper is pretty heavy on most of those, I think.
And then we have a comment. Thank you for this great information.
Oh, and you're welcome.
And then another, numbering the pages. So would numbering the pages be one of the first tasks?
Yeah, I would definitely number. You can number as you go if you want, but you're definitely going to want your pages numbered. The best thing about the bullet journals is their adaptability. I mean, you can really go as far as you want with it and use it in as much detail as possible. I think one of the ways that I want to use it more for myself is having more collections, like putting more of my day-to-day ideas, creative ideas in there, and not having to feel like I need a separate notebook for work or on the job stuff and something different for my personal or creative endeavors. They can just all be together, and I can just have it with me all the time. For me, I think that's probably a better way to use it than I have been. Has anybody been thinking as I've been talking about ways that you might use it that may be different than the way that you use your planning or lists now? Okay, well, if nobody has any other questions or ideas that they'd like to share, that is probably pretty much what I've got for tonight.
We've got some thank yous. Thanks, it was a great introduction. Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
And I learned a lot as well. I'm excited to give it a try.
Great. All right, so we will make the recording available. And again, Brianna, I think you put in the chat, you put in the link for the book list. The book list they're all items that are available through WCCLS, so at the branch libraries. We have a few that are all available in the system. Okay. I'm going to say, maybe just remind you about the upcoming programs. I'd say somewhat related to what we've talked about tonight is the upcoming program on the vision board, because that's also designed to have you thinking about the upcoming year and what you envision for it, what you hope for, what you're dreaming. Can you guys see that? Let's see that. I think I'll just click on it there. There we go.
Yeah, we can see it.
You can see it.
I need to step out, Steve. So if there's any more chat, just keep an eye on it.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna pull up the chat here in case there is anybody wants to talk with me, ask me a question directly. You can write it, or we can just go ahead and stop the recording if you guys want to chat by voice. But I'm gonna stay just for a few more minutes. Thank you, Brianna.
Thanks.
Yeah, I was mentioning the vision board. So we have a local artist, and she's going to be talking about making a vision board for the year. And this is really something where you are, it's basically kind of a work of art that captures your aspirations for the year, the upcoming year. So what you hope for, what you dream of, what you're planning, what you're looking forward to, what you hope to accomplish, goals, things like that. And it's captured as a work of art for you to actually put on the wall and have it be an ongoing source of inspiration or a reminder to you of what it is that you hope that the coming year holds for you. And that's coming on January 19th. Rachel says the bullet notebook is much better. You've been using a whiteboard? Yeah, I think I've used all the tools, Rachel, so I know what you're talking about. All right, Allison, excited to start journaling. Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you coming. And I will make the recording, we'll make that available. I think probably Brianna will post it on our Facebook page, and that's how you'll access it. It'll probably be on YouTube. Okay.
Steve.
Yeah.
This is Mary. I didn't quite understand what you were talking about. The booklet that Brianna is putting together. What is that all about?
The booklet. Book list. So
book list. Oh, okay.
If you look in the chat, she put a link to, we often do this with our programs, compile a list of books that are available in the library system related to our topic. And so,
wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, so it includes the books that I have here. This one, The Bullet Journal Method, and which is kind of the original thing by the person who invented it. And then this one that I like a lot, that's for artists, creative journaling. All right, that is, not limited to bullet journaling, but definitely applies. And this is actually a very good book. This is I recommend this book for like a little less dry than this one. This person is very enthusiastic about the system that they invented. But oftentimes the easier books and funner books to read are the people that have really taken the idea and run with it, and have some experience actually using it in their life in creative ways. And so one of the things that you find is that the people have come up with a lot more symbols. So if you just go online and Google bullet journal symbols or symbol key, you'll come up with all kinds of little symbols that people use to identify and track the different items in their collections.
Okay, sounds great. All right, thank you. You have a good night.
Thank you. You have a good night too. Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. If that's no further questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it tonight. And thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Happy New Year.